All right, so you know what time it is. You know we always got to give the streets a little bit of, a little bit of sports mixed with a little bit of real world current events. And for this subject, we're gonna talk about the vaccine again, folks. You know our favorite subject, COVID-19 test. You know what time it is. Go grab your mask. But we're gonna keep it with college football a little bit right now. We're gonna talk about Oregon and Oregon State. They have just announced Friday that hey, they're going to require proof of vaccinations or negative COVID tests for people that's over 12 to attend these football games. Also, if you do have to provide a negative test, that test has to be within 3 days of the game. So we do know Oregon is one of several Pac-12 teams to do this. We know the Pac-12 is out here, let's say, leading from the front when it comes to this whole. We're gonna figure out football and COVID at the same time. However, they was not the first school to do it. The first school was Tulane out of New Orleans to require tests and proof of negative, to require vaccination cards and negative tests. So Jay, with all that said, that I tried to get out in one piece, but I couldn't. Um, do you see other conferences following what the Pac-12 is doing, or do you see this being a problem within the Pac-12 conference where they go back and probably change this policy somewhere during the season?
I really hope this is something that just stays over on the West Coast. I really do. For example, when we have whatever phone call is about to take place, within the maybe the next week between the newfound alliance
Right.
between the ACC, Pac-12, and Big 12. I really hope the ACC commissioner is like, hey, that vaccine, all the vaccine cards and all that, y'all leave that over there. We don't want anything to do with that. I really hope. I hope that the Big Ten commissioner and the ACC commissioner is like, you know what, man, that's a hell of an idea right there. Let's just make things harder for the general public to come to an athletic event. I don't love it, and I think it's just almost like a tidal wave of just weird stuff that's going on. I was under the impression after the vaccines, was got the little emergency authorization use and everybody, the vast majority of people have been vaccinated now, that we would get to somewhat of normalcy. I kept hearing like we're gonna be returning to normal and like unity and all these other things. I'm not feeling it right now. The fact that we're entering a time where I know, and you're seeing it in a lot of cities right now, where New York City just they're going to go the route of vaccine cards to even go into a restaurant to eat. So now you can't eat without a vaccination card. So I'm real uncomfortable with this, and I don't quite have the best well-crafted argument right now for why I don't love it. I got to be honest with you, but it feels anti-American. It feels anti-democracy to have this requirement to do the most basic of things. Drink freedom of movement. It ain't in the Constitution. It's not a First Amendment right. But the idea that we can restrict travel, for going on a year and a half because China unleashed a virus on the entire world, and we're still letting that dictate American life. I think it's a problem. And the vaccines now. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I got just anecdotal, evidence or just experience of this Delta thing that's spreading around. Outside of the fact that obviously there's still the campaign to go get the vaccine. We're not talking about vaccines very often. It's almost like it almost doesn't matter if you've been vaccinated or not. You still got to cover your face, and you still have to. It appears that now I think that from what I know, the hospitalization rates, the fatality rate is still lower for the vaccinated, but people that's vaccinated are still transmitting this thing. So I'm not here to question the vaccine or anything, but it does make you wonder, is the Delta variant something that's, skating on by the vaccines that we have, which I'm looking at, we should be getting FDA approval very, very shortly on the Pfizer vaccine. So I don't love this at all. I really hope that this does not spread to other parts of the country. Leave that nonsense. Leave that over there on the West Coast, which, by the way, Oregon, Washington, California, they're some of the most incompetently run states in this country. I think they have, when you look at governors, when you look at mayors of some of these big cities, they are hilariously incompetent in my view. And I really hope, and I'm telling you, I think some of this has to do with these institutions, and it goes kind of to what you talked about at Tulane, and you can extend this to the New Orleans Saints as well. Local leaders are making some of these decisions, and I think these institutions of higher learning are just, they're not that they necessarily disagree with what's happening, but they're just going to fall in line with what local leadership is saying. The last point I bring to you, and I think this is something that really has not been touched on a lot. All of these mandates, and I'm going to start calling it decrees because I think mandate's a sexist word, and I'm going to take a stand. I'm going to take a stand on that right now.
What are you talking about right now?
You will notice. Tell me. Can you give me an example of any of these COVID restrictions or COVID rules or mandates, whatever word you want to use? Did anybody pass a law on any of these things that you know of?
Other than the states themselves?
Anybody, federal government, state government, local government. Like, for example, a mask mandate. That's not, no legislative body sat down and said, okay, yeah, mask mandate. I'm not saying none of them, maybe there's a few that I'm missing, but I think by and large, everything that we've seen COVID related has been through executive order.
Well, I guess you say executive order. I mean, listen, it's not the state's fault that Congress or that's the legislative branch or the executive branch, however you want to put it, they put that onus on the individual states. So
right, and that's the other thing. I'm not just talking about the federal level. I'm not even talking about Congress right now. I'm talking about, if you want to go to the states, the governors are putting out their own decrees. The state, like, for example, the state legislature in whatever state, like, they're not making laws on these vaccine mandates. Like the New York City Council, I don't think, now they probably agree with Bill de Blasio, but they didn't sit down and vote on this. It's just there's not a lot of voting taking place like through elected representatives that are supposed to actually sit down and make laws. These are executives just coming through and just, hey, do this, do that. And that's right. And that's the bottom line point when I say this is anti-American, this is anti-democracy. The legislative body makes the laws, the executive branch enforces the laws, and right now you just have executives, mayors, governors, whoever else you want to throw in there, just doing whatever the hell they want. And that goes back to the point where I was talking about the CDC when they reinstituted masks for everybody, regardless of vaccination status. I said at the time, I think people should resist that, and I think people should continue to just. I'm some of these things I'm just not paying attention to, and I'm gonna say something I've said before. I want nothing to do with American cities right now. There's just too much nonsense going on, particularly on the West Coast.
Well, I hope you got that passport ready, where you can go ahead and go overseas and get you a little break from the American way of life. But with everything said, I'm gonna stray away from beating up on the CDC and the legislative branch and all that. I'm just trying to keep it to what we're talking about right here with Oregon State and the vaccinations. Here's the deal. The West Coast has been very, very, let's say, proactive and aggressive with their views of this vaccination. Listen, they have made it clear they're gonna treat this thing like it's cancer walking down the street. It is what it is. If That's what the governors and those cities over there want to do. Whatever. I'm with you on this, Jay. Keep it over there. Keep it over there. If I'm being honest, the part that bothers me the most out of all this is Tulane. Why do Tulane bother me? Tulane is in New Orleans. New Orleans is close to what? Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge has who? LSU. LSU play what conference? The SEC. Now, if you start if you have one of the bigger brands in the SEC and they have to follow some different COVID rule than, let's say, Alabama or Auburn or Texas A&M, Florida, Georgia, etc., how do that work is what I'm trying to figure out. Because I can understand how Oregon and Oregon State going to work, because it seems like the whole Pac-12 is following the same blueprint. So I can understand that. But when you start stretching out to these other conferences that don't agree to this at all, because I haven't seen one thing out the SEC that made me think they agree to this behavior. It definitely makes me wonder, like, what's the impact of that? Now, I wanted to hit on something you said about the actual COVID shot, which, hey, if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, it don't matter because we're all getting treated the same. And now they're saying, hey, if you got Johnson & Johnson, you got to wait a certain amount of time, and then we want you to get the booster shot. If you got Pfizer or Moderna, I forgot the timeline, but at so many months after your second shot, they want you to get the third booster shot. This is supposed to help you against the Delta variant, etc., etc. One of the things that bothered me the most about this, and I made it clear I'm vaccinated, is, okay, now you're talking about a third shot. So then what happens if a Echo variant come, or a Foxtrot variant, or whatever next variant come? You gonna require us to take another booster shot and then another booster shot? Like, when does the end of all this comes? Like, this is the problem a lot of people are having. Like, it seems like every 6 months it's something new with this. Oh, you need to take another shot. Oh, we're gonna create new masks to help everybody. Now they want to see cards. Next thing you know, they're gonna want to put a tracking device in your arm to ensure that you got the vaccine. Yeah, like, it's just getting to a point where, like, we don't know where we're going with this. And that's what bothers me the most, is where are we going with all this? Like, we got to get a better wrap on this. So I think, with that said, to your point about the legislation, they probably don't even know what they want to do with a law, because it changed so frequently. So the governor say, hey, if y'all not going to make a decision, then I'm going to make a decision. Texas governor say, I'm done with mandates. I'm done with making people wear masks. If you want to wear it, wear it. But you would not be required by law to wear a mask in the state of Texas. Florida follow suit. Okay, cool. But then you got Oregon or, West Coast that said you will wear a mask in and out. I stayed, in Virginia, a fairly short distance from D.C. D.C. has made it pretty clear you will wear a mask. They're not even a state, so I wonder how that rolls. But they have made the same mandate. So I think the biggest issue for all of us is just the lack of continuity with the decisions. Because how can Texas say no mask, but you're right next to California that say mask? You cross the border, you got two different rules. It's just wildly inconsistent. So for me, for this subject, I'm not the big fan of what Oregon and Oregon State is doing, but if they want to do it, so be it. At the end of the day, the bottom line is those fans and those personnel, they got to decide what they want to do. It's at the end of the day, do you want to go to the game or not? If not, just stay at home and watch it. I'm gonna watch most of my boys' games at home, and guess what I'm not gonna have on? A mask. Guess what I don't have to do? Show proof of a vaccination, because I'm at home. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, this doesn't hurt. To me, it doesn't hurt. No, the person that hurts the most is those individual schools. Because if everybody stay home and watch the event, guess what? You'll have an empty arena and you'll still be required to put a team on the field.
And that's a great point. And I hope the response is, I don't think this would happen. But Oregon and Oregon State fans, I would reject this outright by not showing up to a game. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, let this crap spread, and let it spread on over to the East Coast. Drink, if it comes down to like you gotta show your papers, and don't even worry about. I mean, the papers, they still might be required to cover your face. Drink, I won't be attending games for a while. I don't plan on attending games until like these restrictions are done. That they got to be done for me to walk back into an arena or a stadium, because it's not right. It's not right, and I'd much rather just be in the comfort of my own home, as you say, where this is my domain. And I know we got certain people who would like to. I think certain people would like to infringe on, people's what they do at home. Good luck with that.
No,